If you are in the e-commerce world, chances are you know what Google Shopping ads are, but a lot of people don't understand actually how to set them up. So this video, I'm going to be walking you through the entire process because a lot of people have the misconception that setting up Google Shopping ads is the same as setting up Google text ads. You can see that these are shopping ads here, the ones with the product images, but down below are the ones with the text ads. So they're a lot different to set up and there's a lot more steps. Today, I'm actually going to be walking through a real business and setting this up. We're going to be setting this up for a pickleball company, Backcourt Pickleball. So if you are looking for a sweet pickleball paddle, go check this out. I would highly recommend. Full disclosure, I am an owner in this, so go check them out. But what this allows me to do is to actually go through these examples and show you real examples of a real store on how to set up ads for it, and also talk about the data and things that I'm actually doing. That way I don't have to blur anything out and you can know exactly what this looks like. So hopefully you appreciate that. So when it comes to actually running shopping ads, there's a few different steps. The first step is to go through and set up a Google Merchant Center account. The next step is to set up your product feed. And then we're going to also talk about some quick tips and optimizations on how to optimize your product feed. From there, you need to go through and link your Google Merchant Center account to Google Ads. And then finally, you need to make sure that you have conversion tracking set up so that you can understand which shopping ads are actually bringing in purchases and revenue for your business. And the last thing is to actually create the standard shopping ads or the Performance Max campaigns. Both of those will allow you to show shopping ads in the top like you see here in this search, but just slightly different variations. So we'll go through the difference on both of those as well in this video. So if you're looking to get shopping ads set up and optimized for your business, this is the right video. Let's actually jump in on how to do this. Step number one is to go through and actually create a Google Merchant Center account. You can see you can sign up for free for this. This is something that you have to have in order to run Google Shopping ads. And once you click sign up for free, it's going to take you to a view that looks something like this. They've made this process really easy. All you need to do is provide your website here. And then if you have a brick and mortar store, you can opt into that. I don't, so I'm going to say no here and click into there. And then you can hit continue. From this point, we're going to scroll down and we are going to hit continue to Merchant Center account. It's then going to ask for our business name and the country of our business. So you go through and fill this out. As you see, I'm not doing Backcourt Pickleball here because this one already had a Google Merchant Center account, but I'm just walking you through this process as if this was a brand new one. And once you finish that, it's going to drop you into your Google Merchant Center account. And you're going to see there's like kind of a checklist of things to go through and do. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because they have made it so easy to actually follow these instructions. What I will be going over is after you've gone through and finished all of these, the very last one, add your products. That's where people usually get tripped up. I'm going to show you how to add your products from a Shopify feed. And there actually are two different versions of Google Merchant Center right now. So the one that I just showed you is the newer version of Google Merchant Center, but a lot of people are on a version right now that looks a lot different. So I do want to show what that version looks like as well. This process will work for either one of the merchant centers that you have. They're both the exact same. They just have different UIs right now, and Google is making that transition. So I just want to make that clear. Here's what the older interface looks like if you're using that. Or you may have an interface that looks like this when you log in. So they are both Google Merchant Center, but the one before is kind of the newer one. If you're in this kind of view, then you can click here, growth, and then you're going to go to manage opportunities. And what you're going to want to do is here where it says Google Shopping ads, you're going to want to hit get started here. And you can see that this is just a dummy account. So I do have some things set up inside of here, but there are some different errors. So you're going to want to go through and make sure that you have everything green check marked here. And then once this is set up, you'll see something down here that says like next or continue. From that point, then you can move on to Shopify as well. So just to be super clear, you may have a Google Merchant Center that looks like this or like this. If your Google Merchant Center looks like this, go fill out all of these right here. And then once you get to the add product, what I'm about to show you will work. And then same with this Google Merchant Center, go through and opt into this Google Shopping, click here, and then go through and actually fill out all of this stuff. And then once you're done with that, you can move on to the next step that I'm about to show you, and they will work for both accounts. Just want to make that clear there for depending on which Google Merchant Center interface you currently have. So now you should have your Google Merchant Center account all set up, and it's time to actually now go into Shopify and set up your feed. So let's jump into that portion. So now we're in Shopify, and you're going to want to come into your Shopify store, and you're going to want to look up the Google sales channel here in the top search. As you can see, this is what is going to allow us to dynamically set up our shopping feed so that pulls data from Shopify. Now you're going to notice there are a couple of different options. You have the Google sales channel, which is a free channel, but a very popular one as well is the Simprosis. It's a paid tool. I've actually done a tutorial on how to set this up as well. I'll link that down below. But for this one, we're going to go with the free Google sales channel, and this will work for most people in most situations. You can see we're going to go through and add this app here. Next, you're going to want to go through and give it permissions. Now, I will say when it comes to setting this up, it is super beneficial to make sure that you have the same email for your Merchant Center, your Shopify, and your Google Ads account, that they all have admin access to all three of these things because it will make the process a lot easier. So something to keep in mind there. It will tell you what this sales channel can do, but we're just going to hit add sales channel here. From this point, it's going to drop us into a view that looks something like this, where we actually need to go through and connect our Google account. This is where it's helpful to have the same Gmail for your Google Ads account, your Google Merchant Center, and your Shopify account all in one place. When you click connect Google Ads account, you're going to see something that pops up just like this, asking for permissions to the Google Ads account. You're going to want to go through and accept those permissions. Then you're going to see a little checkbox here that makes sure you add your payment method and connect other things. If you've already gone through and done that, then great. If not, go through and check those off. If not, you do want to make sure that you have added contact information to your online store. And what that looks like here is that we have the address and then an email address as well. You need to have two of the three, either a phone number, an address, or an email, or two out of those three basically. And then also make sure you have your privacy policy, your refund policy, and other things like that. And now we're actually going to go through and connect to our Google Merchant Center. Make sure that you choose the correct one here. If you only have access to one Google Merchant Center, it'll just be the only one inside of there. Once again, make sure that your email is connected. You have the right email here. If you're not seeing your Google Merchant Center here, it's because you don't have the right email connected to this Google sales channel. And this can take a minute, so be patient, but you will see something like this when it is done. From here, you're gonna want to go to your target country and location and make sure that is set to where you want it to be. You can see you can set your target location, target country, and then target location. And then you're also going to want to go to the shipping settings and manage those. I personally like to go with the automatic. It makes things easy, but depending on your Shopify store settings, you may want to go manual. And then we're gonna hit continue here. That's going to drop us into a view that looks like this. Now I have 5 products in this catalog, but you can see only one is showing right now in the approved. There's none in the pending or not approved. Give this a little bit of time and they will show up in there usually within a couple of hours. But if you actually click in top here on this manage products, you'll be able to see which products have been brought in from the catalog. You'll notice when we click this, it's then going to take us to this view. Now, if you didn't want any products you didn't want to run ads for any products, you can uncheck like you're seeing here. I don't want to run ads for these 2 products, so I don't want them to go into Google Merchant Center. I want to go to this box and type in SEO. That's going to take you to this view where you have the page title SEO, meta description SEO, and then the link SEO as well. We're going to go through and add all of those, or you just want to double check them to make sure that they actually make sense for your product or service. I like to go through and uncheck these custom labels just because it's a lot of like stuff that doesn't have anything in there for this particular store. So once we have that, you can go through and you'll notice that now you can go and change the product title or the meta description as well, specifically for your ads that are going to be showing up in Google Shopping ads. So this is a really powerful tool. The ones that I have here are actually really well done, and I'm not going to go through and edit those. But if you wanted to go through and test different headlines or different descriptions, this would be the way that you could go through and do that really easily. The next thing you're going to want to do is click the link down below. I have a link to this Google product categories. This is a really important step. And most of the time when you're setting this up, Google doesn't automatically do this. You're going to click on that plain text file right there, and it's going to open up something that looks similar to this right here. It may look scary or intimidating, but all you need to do is go through and type in whatever your product or service is. As you can see here, I just typed in pickleball. It's going to give you a code that looks something like this. You want to copy this code and then head back over to Shopify, and you're going to want to find the Google product category and paste that code into every single one of your products. Now, I know this can be a little bit of a hassle if you have multiple products that are in different categories, but this is super important because this basically tells Google what your product is in a very definitive way. And then be sure to hit save when you are done, and it's going to take you back to this view right here with our products and catalogs. You can hit the back button, and you're going to notice that the products still aren't approved. It says 3 to 5 business days. In my experience, that's usually sooner, but it's just a waiting game now. So you can see here it has now been 48 hours and my products are approved. If you ever are curious on how to get back to here, you're going to want to go to your sales channel and then Google sales channel, and it will take you to this view right here. So since they are saying they are approved right here, now we want to go and check Merchant Center, Google Merchant Center, and make sure that is the case as well. So we'll head over there. Here in Merchant Center, our products are now approved on these. You can see that our products are now approved. We do have some errors. You can go through and look at those errors inside of Merchant Center if you wanted to. When you come here to diagnostics, you can see that we have a duplicate variant. This is because we have another product feed. This probably won't happen to you if you're doing this from the very beginning, but you can see you can go through and look at the examples of those duplicate variants here and go through and remove those or fix any errors inside of here. This is where you can see what these errors look like. Typically what I like to do is if I don't know what the error means, I'll copy this and paste it into Google and just kind of figure out, get the documentation on what that may mean here. These yellow triangles, these are just warnings. These aren't something you necessarily need to worry about. The ones that you need to worry about are the ones with the red circles here, because those mean that the product actually isn't showing inside of Google. But for the purpose of this, we can kind of continue on. So now that your products are showing inside of Merchant Center, what you need to do now is create a Google Ads account if you haven't already. Go through and create that process. It's a very easy process. Once you're done creating that Google Ads account, you're going to want to come back here to Google Merchant Center. We're going to hit on these tools and settings, and we're going to link our Google Merchant Center to Google Ads so that these products can then show in Google Ads so that we can run ads for those. So we're going to come here to linked accounts. And what we're going to do is go through and link our Google Ads account. Now, you probably won't have this many ads accounts. I just have access to a lot of them here, so that's why it shows so many. If you can't find your ad account in here for whatever reason, you can come down here and hit click on link account. You can grab your Google Ads customer ID and send the request there. If you don't know what your Google Ads customer ID is, it's this number right here at the top next to your Google Ads account. So we're going to come back over here. You send that request. Once you send the request, you'll see something that looks like this, where it says account needs linked to be confirmed in Google Ads. You can come back over to Google Ads at this point, go to your tools and settings, and then come over to linked accounts. Here you'll notice that now Google Merchant Center, there is one request received. Now, if you just set this up and it isn't here, give it 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes the request can be a second to pass through. So if you don't see that, just wait for a little bit, but we're gonna go through and manage this link. And you can see now it's saying it needs your approval. So we're going to view this request and then approve this linking to Merchant Center. So we now have Google Merchant Center linked to our Google Ads account, which means we can now start running Google Shopping ads. Now there is one other important thing that you do need to do before you start running Google Shopping ads, and that is to set up conversion tracking. There's many different ways to set up conversion tracking. I'm not going to be covering it in this video particularly because I've already covered it in depth in other videos. So you can click the link down below in the description if you want to set up conversion tracking. Conversion tracking allows you to be able to see which ads are actually bringing in sales. Without it, you would only be able to view the clicks that are coming in. So conversion tracking is very important. So now let's actually go through and create our first campaign. We're going to come over here to new campaign, and then we're going to choose sales. And then you're going to see this is where it's going to ask for your conversion actions. We have this purchase and this subscribe to our newsletter. We only want to go for purchases for this one. So we're going to remove this and go forward with purchases. We're going to hit continue. You're asked to choose a campaign type. Now, when it comes to showing shopping ads, there's kind of two options. You can either use this option, which is called the Performance Max, or just your standard shopping ads. With Performance Max, your ads will show on shopping ads and also inside of YouTube placements and search as well. So it's kind of like a package deal. If you're just wanting to solely run shopping ads, then you're going to want to click this right here. There are disadvantages to running just the shopping campaigns. You get less automation, but there are more resources on how to create a Performance Max campaign down below in the description if you want to check that out as well. But we're going to go forward with the shopping here. And here you can see it's automatically linking back to our Google Merchant Center. If you don't see anything popping up here or there's a blank, that means that there's a problem with the linking, and you're going to want to go to your tools and settings and go to linked accounts here and make sure that your Google Merchant Center actually is linked. One last time, Google is going to try to get us to opt into Performance Max instead of standard shopping. I'm not saying that Performance Max is a bad thing, but it's definitely something that Google pushes pretty hard. And in a lot of cases, standard shopping is a good route for a lot of different people. And for this case, I don't want to be showing up on all of these other listings, such as the YouTube in-stream, Discovery feed, and I want to build my own text ads. And right now, we don't really have great YouTube content. So if you have good videos, then Performance Max might be a really good route. But if you don't, then you might want to stay away from that. And that's what we're doing here. So we're going to do standard shopping, and we're going to hit continue. And then here, we're going to start with all products. So how I typically like to name this is all products, standard shopping. And this is USA. So we're targeting anybody in the USA. Now here for standard shopping, you can see you have a couple different options when it comes to actually targeting. Now, because this is a brand new account and we don't really have any conversion data yet, I'm going to stick with a manual bidding strategy to start with. Once I get 30 conversions worth of data in a 30-day period, that's when I consider moving over to a target ROAS. But for now, when I start off with a brand new shopping campaign, I typically start with a manual cost per click and optimizing for conversion value, because we have different price points in the store. We have paddles, that are $100. We have paddles that are $65 and paddles that are even lower than that. So one conversion doesn't equal the same amount. So I want to optimize for conversion value. For this budget, we're going to start off low at $10 a day and scale up from that point. Campaign priority, just leave that on the default here. And we are going to opt out of the search networks. Now you're going to see Google's going to tell you most advertisers include this in their Google ads. That's actually a lie. Well, most people opt into that. These search networks aren't as good as the actual shopping ads. And because our budget is so low, we want to maximize the potential of people that are actually going to be seeing our ads in the shopping feed. If my budget was kind of unlimited and I had money to kind of go and get more impressions and target ROAS, and ROAS wasn't a huge factor, maybe I'd opt into this. But for low budgets, I definitely recommend opting out of here. Finally, you have your devices, which we're going to stay on all devices, and then we're going to be targeting the United States. This ad group here, this is going to be all products as well. And then for our bid, we're going to start at 75 cents. Now, this is based on the keyword research that I'm seeing, kind of where that cost per click should be. When you set this, you're going to want to set it and then keep a really close eye on it for the next like 48 to 72 hours. Because if you're not getting impressions, then you're going to want to increase that cost per click. If you're getting too many impressions and you're almost blowing through your budget within the first couple of hours, then you probably want to drop that average cost per click. So we're now going to go through and hit create campaign. Okay, and now that we have this products groups, what you're going to want to do is go through and hit this little plus and add a subdivision so that you can see the data for each individual product. You don't want to just see what the shopping campaign brought on. And usually what you're going to do is come in here to item ID. That then pulls in the ID for every single product. So you can go through and click these. So you can see which products are actually bringing in clicks and which ones are actually bringing in conversions and revenue and things like that. Now, another quick tip for optimization and setting up your campaigns as well. Chances are, depending on how many SKUs you have or how many products you have, you may want to set up multiple shopping campaigns. And the main reason why you're going to want to do that is because the price of your products are vastly different. If all of the prices of your products are around the same, then you may want to just keep them all in one shopping campaign. But if you have different price points, you may want to separate those out. And let me show you what I mean. So when we come over to our products here, you can see that we have 2 paddles that are $150, and then we have 2 paddles that are $65. In this case, what I may end up doing is coming into this campaign and going and finding the 2 that are higher. You can see this is the Pro Paddle series and this one's the Pro. Going through and pausing these so that they don't show up in this specific ad group or in this specific campaign, and then putting them into a different campaign where I have a higher cost per click bid so that I'm not getting limited. So I'm not getting limited when people are searching for those more expensive paddles, because chances are the return on ad spend on something for a $150 paddle versus a $65 paddle is going to be different. So I want to cater my bids and budgets according to that. Also, when you move into using smart bidding strategies, it's also a helpful thing to go through and do. So now our campaign is pretty much ready to go, but there's a few different optimizations that I would like you to be aware of before you do set your campaign live to give you the highest possibility of success. The first thing that we're going to do is come over here to the actual keywords and then negative keywords. You're going to want to go through and add a few negative keywords right from the beginning. Negative keywords make it so that your shopping ads won't show up for specific terms or terms inside of Google that you know won't convert for your brand but may sound very similar. And a quick way to get an idea on negative keywords is one, using Google Keyword Planner, or another quick way that sometimes I like to do is come to a tool called Suval. This is 100% free, and I'll type in my keyword, pickleball paddles. And what this is going to do is it's going to populate popular search terms on all of these different search engines. You can see you have Google, you have Yahoo, you have Bing over here, and then you have YouTube. And I just like to comb through these words to see if there's specific keywords that I don't want to be showing up for, because it's going to be a waste of money. For instance, here you can see pickleball paddles, Amazon. We don't want to be showing up for this at this point, because if somebody's looking for pickleball paddles on Amazon, then they're not going to want to purchase from my specific store, my Shopify store. Same thing here with Walmart. We're going to want to go through and get rid of those or add that as a negative keyword. And then there's specific brands here. So you can see pickleball paddle Selkirk. If somebody's looking for a Selkirk paddle, that's a specific brand. And then Jula, we're also going to add those as negative keywords. So I'm going to come back over here to this and I'm going to hit negative keywords. We're going to add this at the campaign level. And what we're going to do is add a parentheses here, and then we're going to put Amazon. This makes it so that we're not going to show up for any keywords related to Amazon. Same with Walmart here. And then we're going to do Selkirk and Jula. Now this is just a starting list, and depending on your budgets and what niche you are in, you may want to spend more time searching for negative keywords before you launch the campaign. As soon as you launch the campaign, within 24 hours, you're going to want to come back and check these search terms to see which keywords you are showing up for and add those as negatives as well. So adding negative keywords is going to be a continuous thing that you're going to be optimizing on maybe a daily or weekly basis, depending on the size of your account. But for now, we're going to go through and save this as it is. Once this account starts running, I'll come back over here into the search terms and give you an idea of what these search terms look like and what I look for when I'm optimizing this part. But the next part that I do want to go over to here is this audience, these audiences. And what this does is it allows us to add audiences to our campaigns to collect more data on what's working. And what you're going to want to do here is do it as an observation, which means, as you can see, you don't narrow the reach of your campaigns with this option to adjust the bids, select each segment. So it allows us to optimize bids for a specific segment. If you just did targeting, what that would mean is that you're only targeting that specific group and you could be losing out on traffic. So I don't recommend that. I recommend keeping this on observation. And you can see here we have sports and fitness, which would be a good audience maybe just for us to keep track of. Sports and fitness, and then lifestyle and hobbies. Shoppers is good. Sports fans, yes, we'll try that. Let's see if they actually have something for pickleball. I doubt it just because it is kind of a newer sport, but let's see if they have anything here like people interested in. Okay, so racquetball enthusiast is close, really close. Tennis enthusiast, a lot of people coming from tennis or racquetball are going to pickleball, so we'll give that one a shot. But just go through and type in keywords related to your niche and see if there's audiences related to those and add them as observations here. So we're gonna hit save now. And you can see what this will allow us to do if we show this table. Once data starts coming in, we're going to see how many clicks came from this audience, how many clicks came from the sports enthusiast, and then also how many actual conversions or sales came from these different audiences. And this allows us to go through into here and optimize bids and maybe bid a little bit higher for, say, shoppers, because our ROAS on these guys is a lot higher compared to people that are lifestyles and hobbies. So now our Google Shopping campaign is ready to set live. So I'm going to let this run for 48 hours and come back and show you the results and show you kind of what I look at in the first 48 hours. Okay, and here we are 48 hours later, and I want to walk you through my mindset and what I'm looking at here the first 48 hours. So you can see I launched this on a Sunday, and on the very first day, it only got 40 impressions and no clicks. What this told me is that maybe the next day it might kind of creep up, but I realized that my bids were maybe too low. So instead of bidding at the 75 cents, I actually increased this to over $2. And in order to do that, I just came in here to the settings, and then I went over to my my bidding, and then I actually moved this up. And then today I actually moved it up even more to get a little bit more aggressive on these clicks. So now I raised up that bidding strategy because my impressions were low and I wasn't getting basically any clicks the first day. So that's the first thing that I'm looking for. If you're getting clicks and impressions the first day, then you don't need to adjust your bids, but I decided that was the best thing for me. You can see my bidding strategy is still in the learning phase. So there's something to be said about that, but I just kind of had a feeling that my bid was going to just be too low. Now, the other thing that I am looking at over here is you can see now we're starting to get a few clicks, very little. I mean, 1 and 2 basically. Our budget is really low, so that's to be understood, but we're starting to get more impressions. And what I want to start doing in these first 48 hours is, like we talked about, those negative keywords in these audiences. I'm starting to look inside of here. So I'm going to come into the search terms, and now I'm going to go through all of these search terms to make sure that I'm actually showing up for things that are important to my business, especially because my budget is so small. Every single click that isn't applicable to my actual search terms can waste a lot of my money here. So you can see here that this first one is Japanese pickleball paddle. I don't sell any Japanese pickleball paddles or anything like that, so that's one that I'm going to want to go through and add as a negative. And then we have these Ben Johns. So Ben Johns is a pro pickleball player, if you're not familiar, and he has a specific paddle, and obviously if people are looking for those, then it's not the paddle that we currently sell. So I'm going to add those as negative keywords, and then I'm just kind of scrolling through here, making sure that there's no other keywords. Dallas Cowboys, we don't sell any pickleballs related to those. So I'm just giving this a quick look through, and then Franklin is a specific brand that I want to get rid of. Fila, Franklin, and you can see there's 98 others here, so I'm going to add this entire thing. And you kind of get the idea. I just go through this entire list real quick to make sure that there's no other keywords that I don't want to be showing up for. And you can see just how fast you can do this, just kind of glancing through this. You're going to want to do this pretty often in your first, especially week, to make sure that you're not showing up for any bad keywords, basically. So I'm going to call that good there. Add these in negative keywords. You can add them as exact, but then those same keywords are going to show up. So for this one, for instance, for Japanese pickleball paddles, I'm just going to exclude the word Japanese so that we're not showing up for anybody who's looking for paddles that are made in Japan or anything like that. These Ben John ones, I'm just going to exclude the name Ben Johns here by putting the quotations. And what this does is it adds it as a phrase match. So I'm basically telling Google, if the keyword contains Ben Johns, then we don't want to show up for it. If it includes Japanese, then we don't want to show up for it. These ones we're just going to leave as exact because this keyword is going to add it as a negative. This Fila, I'm going to go through and delete all of this because that's a specific brand I don't want to show up for. And same thing for Franklin, we're going to exclude that right there. Save. So now we've gone through and excluded those, and then I do just want to show you what the data what the data looks like when it's populating in these audiences that we talked about. So you can start seeing by these buckets which ones actually click. So you can see shoppers and sports fans brought in a click and a click. So very little data here, and clearly no conversions yet. I hadn't expected the first couple of days. We're going to optimize this and get this thing kind of cranking. But this is the kind of the first 48 hours, the things that I'm looking at. So hopefully you found this helpful, seeing the whole process all the way through. I'm going to continue to make more videos on this kind of case study and walk you through exactly how I think and how I scale this account going forward. So if that is something that is interesting to you, I encourage you to subscribe and follow along in this journey. Hopefully you found this helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.